You're listening to the ProcureTech podcast, your weekly show for all that's cooking in the digital procurement space. Yes, we've got the hottest startups, thought leadership, and conversation from visionary industry experts, and definitely no stiff corporate content. I'm your host, James Meads, procurement pro, digital nomad, and ProcureTech fanboy. And now, here's this week's show. Yes, hello, and a very warm welcome to another episode of the ProcureTech podcast, where we bring you every week everything that is fun, exciting, and innovative in the digital procurement space, bringing you solution providers and industry experts to give their slant on a specific digital procurement problem or solution that a digital procurement provider can solve. And this week, we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different, because it's going to be for the first time where we're bringing on a case study where a customer is going to walk us through their digital procurement journey and what brought them to ultimately source and do business and contract with the digital procurement solution that they decided to go for. So the reason I like doing these is I think storytelling and case studies are so much more powerful than asking questions to a founder or a CMO of a software company. And I'm really, really glad that we've managed to get both a customer and a software provider on at the same time to be able to tell their particular story. So I would like to introduce this week's guests to the show, who are Børge Langedal from Ignite Procurement and Arndt Romer from one of their customers, SEG Automotive. Very warm welcome, gentlemen, to the ProcureTech podcast.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so before we dive in, let's just do a quick introduction to set the scene. So maybe Arndt, if you could go first, if you could just briefly introduce SEG Automotive, size of company, size of business, number of employees, and the sector that you're in, that would be fantastic. And then we'll go over to you, Børge.
So my name is Arndt Romer. I'm a senior manager in purchasing controlling for SEG Automotive, a German automotive supplier located in Stuttgart. The company size is, I would say, a large mid-scaled company or a small corporation, as you want to call it. We have about 7,000 employees worldwide on various locations. So in total, we have 14 locations. We have, as a revenue, more than 1.5 billion euros as a revenue per year. Company products are, as the name says, mainly automotive. We also have some industry applications. We're focusing historically on starters. So this is where the business started when we were still with Bosch decades ago. We started with the starters and then quickly came the generators in. Now our product portfolio is also completed by the boost recuperation machine for the 48 volt business, and now we are also starting with the electrification strategy to enter this market.
So you were actually carved out from Bosch, I understand, as well. So the company was spun off from Bosch as a corporation.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have been spun off completely in beginning of 2018. Decision has been done 2 years before from Bosch strategically to carve this business unit out to widen, I would say, the focus from very dependent on automotive sector to a more brighter one.
So with that background in mind, then I guess that gave you a bit of a fresh slate in terms of carving out what you wanted to have as an independent company in terms of software and processes and procurement structure, which is great to have sort of in the background. So Børge, over to you. Just briefly introduce Ignite Procurement and sort of some of the solutions that you offer, and then I think we'll dig into then some of the challenges that SEG have faced and how Ignite was able to address them with their solutions. So over to you, Børge.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, James. So my name is Børge Langedal. I'm co-founder of Ignite and Chief Revenue Officer here. Former consultant in BCG, where I met my co-founder as well. We started Ignite in 2016. We're a Norwegian SaaS company, have around 50 employees today, backed by solid investors here in Norway, and also partnerships both on the product side and also on the consulting side. So what we do is that we are building and delivering a spend management solution with a clear vision to make strategic procurement easy. And the core of our offering is data management and procurement analytics. And then we build surrounding features on top to help procurement functions out there reach their objectives. And the reason we started Ignite back in 2016 was based on our consulting experience, that we saw that all of these projects we did with the focus on procurement, they realized a tremendous ROI for the customers, and we saw massive potential there. And we asked ourselves, how could that be, and what is our role in it? And we found out that our primary value contribution then was that we were very good in collecting data from different sources, processing it, and making it into relevant decision material for the clients that we worked with. And combined with the expertise of those functions, when they have the data and insights needed to make the correct decisions, they realized a lot of value. However, back when we started in 2016, we didn't find any good solutions for it. So the way we did it was to really burn the midnight oil in Excels and PowerPoints and so on. And also made it difficult to hand over the projects to the clients afterwards with complex Excel sheets and so on. And that is what we would like to address with creating Ignite.
That's great. Thank you, Børge. So that really sort of sets the scene in terms of what you do and how it came about. So Arndt, maybe over to you. Explain to me a little bit SEG's procurement function in terms of, tell me a little bit about its current level of maturity, and also, have you done any other work previously, or did you inherit any legacy systems from Bosch that were also part of your digital procurement infrastructure, or were you just approaching this from the position of using an ERP system and Excel and SharePoint?
So as discussed before, we have been carved out from Bosch in 2018. Bosch obviously has a very well developed system landscape, which is also maintained by various of people and developed by them also in-house mainly. All these tools we could not further use when we have been carved out. So this was let's say a big interruption. So we starting very quickly to introduce a tool which is consolidating at least the SAP machines, and then we were very much handling the need for reports and data with Access database, with Excel, with reports in PowerPoint, to fulfill the needs also in our purchasing organization. The purchasing organization itself, well, firstly, it was partly taken over from Bosch, but for quite a little part, because Bosch has a central purchasing organization, and the main resources had been staying there. So a lot of new people from outside came to our purchasing team, and setup-wise, we started basically as we had been doing it with Bosch, but now quickly changing and adapting to a medium-sized company and away from a large corporation, because we do not need this structure as Bosch maybe has, but we wanted to be leaner, we wanted to be more efficient, but at the same time very much also tailored to the needs of our customers and suppliers. So this was the target in it, and facing it with Access reports and with Excel. So that was the status some time ago. Well, the challenges we had was basically improving our service with limited resources and extending our our tasks. And this is where we basically started to look in the market to check what we can do to improve our reporting and our decision making landscape.
So if I just summarize then, really, you had quite a mature purchasing organization and new people coming into the business, but the classic problem of being expected to deliver more with less, and you were really hampered by the fact that the data was in lots of different places, and you were having to manage that through Excel spreadsheets, and I guess as well you were using multiple ERP systems or having data coming from a number of different sources too. So I guess then from that, you had a pretty clear idea of what you thought you wanted a digital procurement solution to do in terms of some of the challenges you faced or the pain points that you wanted it to solve. So I guess the logical next question would be then, how did you go on your journey from understanding what the problem was to be able to figure out what solutions were out there? Were you approached by Ignite, or did you have market knowledge of them, or did you engage in a more structured RFI, RFP process?
So when we were looking for different solutions, we first made a list of companies we already know or we already have business with. So with our provider of our SRM tool. Then we had some internal BI system we were looking at. We had also the function in Excel, the Power BI, which was introduced to us, and we were checking also if this reporting can fulfill our needs. Well, for the last point, we have a digitalization team, which is also going on different fairs and then checking in the market for companies for different applications. And I think the first contact was through this digitalization team, and I think namely from our director from indirect purchasing, Børge, correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct.
And there it was the first contact, I think, in the end of 2019 already. While we were collecting all the information in 2020, we had some delay also due to COVID and to timely restrictions. Well, basically, we started to do a scorecard saying, okay, we were checking with a different provider of solutions, which we know, which we got in touch on the different fairs, and was the result of an internet search and also the internal ones. And then we started also with Ignite in the same time a pilot, as we also did some checks with the other companies. And during the pilot phase, I think it was quite obvious to us which company can fulfill the needs we're having.
That's really interesting to hear, and I'll tell you why. Because you've approached it in three very different but very useful areas. That you had some internal knowledge. You were going to fairs, and then you were also doing market research independently of that, and being able to gather that market knowledge and bring all of that into one place, I think is really powerful. Because just looking on the internet or just doing an RFP to some of the bigger names out there that everyone has heard of, I genuinely don't think you would have got the same result and the same outcome as what you're seeing now. So Børge, maybe over to you. So you get a really interesting client that's a pretty big company that expresses interest at a trade fair. Where do you then take that journey in terms of trying to understand what their challenges and pain points are, and understanding whether what you can offer them is a viable solution for the challenges that they're facing?
Obviously, a bit simplified, but the first thing we always do when we meet new companies is to understand, number one, if we can solve their challenges, and also engage in discussions on their requirements, business objectives, to ensure that we can actually solve them in driving measurable business goals. And in the case of SEG, it was clear that consolidating, harmonizing data from different data sources, that is a very common challenge that we see, and we're very used to address that. And addressing it without technology is very difficult. And also democratizing, making data more dynamically accessible is one of our key offerings as well. And lastly, I would say that the SEG team, they very quickly impressed us with both from the procurement side with very structured, rigorous procedures, processes, combined with a very strong desire to improve and digitize their procurement processes. So during our early dialogue, we were convinced that we could really make a good success story out of this. We could really support SEG and wanted to invest in that. And yeah, that is an interesting point to me as well, where SEG stands out in terms of their open-mindedness and willingness to improve, which makes it really valuable to us as a solution provider as well to work with. And I don't know, Arndt, if that has to do with the carve out from SEG, the culture you're building, or yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to do with a lot of different things. So how doing or having a carve out for sure is a driver of change. So that you anyway need to touch processes and systems after a long time when they have been implemented. So then to do another change after some time, it's more easy. But on the other hand, we also have a lot of new people in the company. So we get spirit from a lot of different companies, often coming from medium-sized companies. And in regards to the project itself, not the first implementation of a reporting tool which I have done. So I could already take some experience from former companies I had had.
So just a quick interlude, because there are a couple of things that I really want to make you aware of, because I think they will be valuable for you. So number one, we now have a monthly newsletter where we bring you curated content of everything that's happening in the digital procurement space. If you want to get that, just head to procuretechpodcast.com/newsletter, enter your name and email, and we'll get that delivered straight to your inbox. Number two, if you're a head of procurement or a center of excellence leader, and you're perhaps a little bit confused or overwhelmed with what's out there as best of breed digital procurement technology, especially if you're a mid-sized business, schedule a call with me. There's a link at the bottom of the show notes in this episode. Just hit that schedule a call link and we can have a quick chat to understand your challenges and what potential solutions out there may be suitable for your organization. And now let's get right back to this week's show. So if I look at the size of your company, you said, I think 1.5 billion euro turnover, if I'm not mistaken. So that's, in the world of digital procurement, you would definitely be a target customer for some of the bigger enterprise level digital procurement suites. And it would indeed have been the lazy option to just go out and pick one of those, given their market share and their position in the market. So what were the key factors that drove you to look for a best of breed solution and ultimately choosing to go with Ignite rather than going with, I guess, the low risk or lazy option of an all-in-one suite that is well known on the marketplace, who I'm sure your CFO was probably pushing you down that road, or because businesses of that size generally, especially in German business culture as well, are often quite risk averse. So be interested to hear what drove you down that path specifically.
So it was not from the beginning clear that we will take a best of breed solution. So it was a journey starting to check what we have as options, internal and external, also with the ferries and just to get to know the market, what is in there, what is you call a best of breed solution, or what is a full size solution. We were also discussing it with companies offering this full scale solutions. We just had the impression that it was very static. So it was like you you got to offer a solution. Maybe you can do some specifications here or there. But first of all, it's a standard. You need to fit in. So your business needs to fit into the standard of the company. And secondly, we had the impression it was not enough speed in this company. It's also an implementation, not enough flexibility. And when we started off with Ignite, we had from the beginning the impression that Ignite has a very strong interest in us. First of all, that they are willing to develop it with us together, like a project, not like selling us a product, but we're saying, okay, our needs are this and that. We have here is our data structure. We have needs from our matrix organization. We have needs from our regions. We have needs in terms of negotiation preparation, which we are not fulfilling right now. And so we started off to build up the essential, which was very fast and very easy. Børge, can you recall how long it took? Weeks? How many? I think 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think that is correct, and that is, I would say, one of our key differentiators, that we can get very quickly up and running, and obviously also tailor it to the objectives of our customers. So I think you're correct, Arndt.
And I think one thing that I think the one thing that you didn't touch on as well, though, is that's very, very important, is that if you go for one of these more established enterprise level suites, not only does implementation take a long time, and like you say, they're not offering a huge amount of flexibility or agility, but just the sheer cost of implementing it. I mean, you need an army of consultants and a 6-figure IT budget usually to be able to implement the thing, because it's so complex. Whereas what I'm hearing is that Ignite's size and agility was a real asset. So while they may have not had that depth and breadth that one of the bigger companies have, just their agility and the ability to sort of flex and adapt and improvise with you sounds like an advantage rather than a disadvantage.
You know, James, coming from Bosch, where the developments are very, let's say, very deep, and also the software tools are quite mighty, but it takes a long time implementing it. It was to us, it was very impressive starting here with here is a set of data. Let's try to start with the basic reporting, and then within a few weeks we are presenting our management figures from a test system, which have been actually the same values as our reporting system before, and the numbers were matching. That was very impressive, also for our management and for our stakeholder here from purchasing and from controlling. And I think that was also the decisive factor here, saying here, within a few weeks, we are able to implement the basic reporting. After half a year, we will get it fully set and running.
And speed of implementation, when you consider then the impact then on what areas of spend it can highlight, where there is savings potential or cost containment potential, maybe now in an inflationary market, especially in automotive. That is a real bottom line driver to the business, isn't it? Even though finance often don't like looking at things like cost avoidance, it is a very genuine asset that a nimble, agile company in a simple to use software solution can offer, versus something that requires maybe weeks of training and super users to get the most out of it. So, Børge, you sit kind of in a little bit of a position where you're offering more than a classic best of breed solution, because you're doing spend analytics and data crunching, but you're also doing things on the contract management and the SRM side. How would you respond to the accusation, well, that you're not really a suite, but you're not really a best of breed solution? And I guess the second part to that question is, logically, as an extension of that, do you think that there is a growing market for kind of a mini suite that can offer more than one problem, but further to what Arndt was saying about the real benefits of agility and implementation, are both priced competitively and can, offer a lot of the functionality of some of the bigger suites?
My take on it would be that I would argue that we are best of breed within data management and procurement analytics, which is really at the core of our product. And our capabilities within cleaning, consolidating, harmonizing, also enriching customer data with AI, third-party integrations, and subsequently turn it into actionable, relevant insights that also leverages synergies across all these data sources. In my opinion, we're very strong there and a best of breed solution. But still, as you mentioned, we do have contract management, we have project management, assessments, and we're working on a sourcing feature as we speak, advanced alerts, and so on. That really goes into the mini suite direction. But to us, it's not about best or of breed or suite. I would say it's more about building those features where we have expertise. We see a clear opportunity in the market where we can solve problems better than they are solved today, as well as incorporating features that has clear synergies with our existing functionality. And I also, in terms of the question, if we see a growing market for mini suite solutions, I would say that what we have observed is a trend going from enterprise suite solutions to a more focused best of breed ecosystem approach, where modern APIs allowing for selecting, connecting different solutions has been a key enabler for that. More recently, however, we believe there is a tendency of more consolidation to mini suites by the best of breed solutions being bought or joined forces with complementary providers. So even though integrations between modern APIs is possible through the best of breed approach, it is also a recognition that these integrations aren't always as seamless as they should be. And with different user faces, it makes it hard to take it from analytics to concrete actions and measurable results. So that is a bit of the background why we are going in the mini suite direction, to put it that way.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. It's interesting to get your thoughts on where you see the market going, because clearly there is going to be a critical limit of how many individual separate best of breed solutions you can run together. And I guess if I go, Arndt, back to you, the two obvious things that Ignite doesn't cover, and Børge alluded to the fact that they're developing an e-sourcing module, but the two things that it doesn't cover are sourcing and procure to pay. So looking more towards the road ahead, how are you going to ensure that Ignite is able to communicate with other areas of your IT landscape or digital procurement landscape if perhaps somewhere along the road you're looking at implementing a P2P suite to perhaps take that out of your ERP system?
Yeah, so I think that the topics Børge has mentioned with the mini suite, so there are different customers in the market for Ignite. So we as an automotive company are different than a retail company. So for us, for example, let's say an SRM demanding a different functionality from an SRM or contract management than maybe a retail company or other production companies have, because in the automotive industry we have some special needs which have to be fulfilled, and for us here we are mainly focusing on three main pillars. Is our ERP system, which we will be about to be changed soon. It's our SRM, and it's Ignite as reporting, and with the other best of breed solutions, we are trying to implement this with the open APIs into these three different systems. where it makes sense and where the stakeholder will have it as a glance, and where they can then, when they need more detailed information or to steer their business, then just jump to the best of breed solution.
So your P2P process is still going to be run through your ERP system?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So looking then ahead, we're obviously now, I mean, I'm recording this in September. It's going to be good. It's due to be published in December. This is classic business plan or business planning time for 2022. Given where you are now with the data and the analytics and the visibility that Ignite has given you, what does that give you that you weren't able to do, this time a year ago?
So we have been implementing Ignite now, starting on July. Now the real usage now started now the last weeks. What we can see are several things. So the request to do special reports to us as a controlling function decreased. So our resources are open to fulfill other needs in terms of business steering to our management. This is the first thing. Second thing is that we can do global meetings within the purchasing community without huge preparation or without creating overviews, but quickly jumping to Ignite. The figures are trusted, since we from more or less day one we are reporting the same figures in Ignite, but also in our traditional reporting.
And you say that so lightly, but it's such a massive boost, isn't it? If everyone is using numbers that they trust and they know are reliable, that's a massive plus.
That's the key enabler in the end. So if the graphs or the functions can be as nice as they are, that you can have a great drill down. It's very intuitive. It's more like an app than a system sometimes. So it really everybody can understand the basic functionalities at once. But if the figures are not correct in there, nobody will use it. And this has been one of the key success factors also for Ignite, that we have been testing it very quickly, implementing it, and the figures now are trusted also by our purchasing community. We can do reports and we can do steering, which has been very difficult for the purchasing in terms of self-assessment. And now, since we have Ignite and not Excel or Pivot or PowerPoint, they can do it by their own very quickly and without asking us, and without an additional training here.
And as a former category manager, that is music to my ears, because the worst part of putting together a category strategy or a savings plan was always knowing, what do we spend with these suppliers? We just don't have the data. So no, I completely get that. So Børge, based on this implementation, and obviously SEG being a pretty big client for you, what are your lessons learned, or what have you got from this that you can take and apply to the design of your product to be able to develop and improve what you were already offering?
Yeah, so the partnership with SEG, or it has evolved into a very close collaboration, where I think both SEG and us see great potential going forward. So we have numerous initiatives together, and ultimately with their willingness, desire to improve and change, and also with the specific challenges SEG have, they have provided great input to us and basically helps us in product development by openly sharing these points. So one example that we're working with productifying as we speak together with SEG is automatic integration of commodity prices to with their spend data. And we will also be looking into the negotiation process as Arndt mentioned. So several opportunities, and we also have more on our more long-term ideas for further development that would help both SEG but also similar companies. So apart from being fun to work with, and it also provides a lot of value to us with working with a company that invests so much in making this a success and also wants to drive it even further.
And do you think there will be more collaborations or official partnerships between different providers in the best of breed space? So as P2P being the obvious example, if you're not looking to develop, and understandably not develop that, are you looking to team up with someone in that space so as you can sort of refer or go as a joint solution into a potential customer that needs to do a complete digital transformation, and then you're almost then able to offer them an alternative to something like Ariba or Cooper?
Yeah, currently we don't have very clear plans on that, James, but we have discussions with several different providers. Our main ambition is to become a leader when it comes to helping companies work more strategic with procurement, utilizing the full value and unlocking the full value of their data. We don't have currently plans to move into operational or the P2P segment, but that is for sure something that we will look deeper into. So for the time being, we have focused on consulting partnerships, third-party data providers, and a few detailed partnerships on the product side.
So very bright future from what I can tell for both of you with both the implementation and some of the lessons learned and plans for the future. So gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me today. It's great to hear an actual successful case study that's really sort of fresh and just being implemented. If anyone wants to learn a little bit more about Ignite, Børge, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you?
Yes, I would recommend to go to our website, igniteprocurement.com. You could book a meeting with us directly there, or send a request to our team, and we will reach out shortly.
There we go. The biggest thing to come out of Norway since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United coach. So, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Great to hear, and keep in touch, and good luck with the future.
Thank you very much, James.
Thank you for having us.
I always love to listen to a good story and a good case study, and I hope that brought some value to you. Maybe if you're at the start of your digital procurement journey and want to understand some of the decision-making process and how Arndt and his team went about ultimately deciding to go with Ignite Procurement for their digital procurement solution. I'm really, really curious, listeners, to get your thoughts and your feedback on whether you'd like to hear more of these types of episodes around successful stories and case studies of digital procurement implementations and how these businesses went about choosing the right solution for them. So please drop me a DM on LinkedIn or drop me an email and let me know your thoughts, because if you do want to, I will definitely look at doing more of these episodes in the future. Thank you very much for listening to the show. Don't forget to follow the page on LinkedIn and subscribe where you listen to your podcasts so as you get notifications each time we launch a new episode. We publish every single Wednesday new content. Until the next time, take care wherever you are. All the best and chat to you soon. Bye-bye.